Hi everyone, Rini here, and welcome to my channel. So we're going to take a look at Bitcoin today because unfortunately we did have a throwback event here. So let's dive into the charts just to see what's going on, what structures are emerging, and what structures are we adhering to so that we can map out the appropriate scenarios for our particular investments moving forward. And let's dive in. So I have Bitcoin on a daily time frame here. Now, before we did establish that we did break out of this particular ascending triangle right here. Unfortunately, we have now what we call a throwback, where upon the breakout, we tried to hold it as support, but unfortunately, boop, we have now fallen back into the structure and are trying to break out of it once again. So there are a couple of things to note here for Bitcoin on a daily time frame. The first one is after this subsequent collapse right here. So we did try to hold this particular level as support a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, we did fall as of yesterday, and we are currently finding support right here at the 55 daily EMA. If we break down from here, it is quite a fall from here all the way to this particular ascending trend line right here. Currently, that level is at 40,000 right here. But remember, this particular trend line keeps moving up as the days go by. So as we move up, for example, it goes above 40K. So if we take our time to get here, the trend line actually just keeps going on and on and on and on like this. But the key thing to note is there are a number of levels that we will find support in before our eventual breakdown, if we even break down. So this is one level, for example, because of this swing high right here. This is another level because of a swing low right here before the subsequent destination of the upper trend line. This particular price point is 42,254. This particular price point is 40,893, and this particular upper trend line right now is 40,000. So it remains to be seen whether or not we break down further or we just bounce off from here. Now, a lot of you don't really care about Bitcoin, but you do care about your gaming cryptos. And right now, what's happening is, unfortunately, we are now below the bull market support band. So the current bull market support band for our alts, basically, if we are above this particular structure, our altcoins will pretty much fly off from here. We are currently below that structure. The 20 EMA is currently at 43,773, while the 21 EMA is at 44,102. So the key thing that we have to take note of is, will we close the week below this particular structure, or will we close above it? Because if we close above it, then it gives more confidence to the market that this is just merely a correction before the subsequent move to the upside. If we close below, then we do have to reevaluate our altcoin positions, because you know that when we are below this particular band right here, altcoins really do suffer with a slight Bitcoin hiccup, where even if you have like a 2% Bitcoin correction, for example, altcoins significantly go to the downside more than Bitcoin. So just something to note. Now, one of the things about the investing space and really understanding the market, and this is why I never brag about whether we called things right or wrong, is because the market really has a way of positioning itself where your analysis is really stretched to the limit because you don't know what may potentially happen. What do I mean by that? This current price level right here is in such a precarious position where it could really go either way. Because on one hand, we are still maintaining our running flat right here, where you have lower highs, and even this would be a lower high before the subsequent continuation to the upside. So that is a point for the bulls. So let me just keep a counter right here. So bull 1 point. From a bearish case perspective, if we lay down the fibs where the all-time high is our high and the local lows are low, we have unfortunately been rejected off of the 050, which is typically an indication of a dead cat bounce. So that is a point for the bears, because this particular rejection looks bad, because what's happening here is you may be fizzling out, where you have a relief rally right here, and then you just go lower and lower before the subsequent eventual capitulation to the downside. And just to make things a lot more confusing, the current price action is in between the 21 and the 55 EMA. So there is a certain uncertain component here where things can really go either way. So you have a point for the bulls, a point for the bears, and a point for being uncertain. And this is what I mean by the market really has a way of humbling you. The longer you're in the investing space, the more humble you become. So right now we have to wait and see. The key thing to note here is we have to wait until the end of the week to really establish, are we below the bullish structure here? Because what's going to happen is that will affect all of your altcoin positions. But the way you have to treat this scenario is if it closes below it, you don't have to overreact and sell everything immediately. Because again, the market has a way of tricking you into capitulation. Another thing to consider that this candle right here coincides with the Bitcoin 2022 event. And you're probably wondering, why are we going down during an event such as the Bitcoin 2022? There's a simple explanation for that. A lot of amateur leveraged investors, what they tend to do is they try to trade news. So what tends to happen is you have a lot of leveraged longs during this event or prior to this event. Whales see that, they dump the price to liquidate everyone, and pretty much all leveraged traders who are longing Bitcoin, you have now given all of your money to the whales. Again, we can actually see that here. So if you look at the total liquidations for crypto, yesterday was one of the largest liquidations to date, and throughout the beginning of April, what you're seeing here is we are starting to see increased liquidations across the board. So just take note that sometimes these types of dumps could be as simple as whales and institutions hunting for over-leveraged traders, taking advantage of the situation before the subsequent move to the upside. So right now, we are really at wait and see. But the plan that we established a few weeks back pretty much still applies. As long as we are below our EMA structure, then altcoin positions are not recommended. Coming into altcoins while Bitcoin is still below is really not recommended. When we go above though, then we have certainty that we may go back on an uptrend, and you have already seen that over the past week or so. And for our gaming cryptos, I would rather have the certainty of being in an uptrend even though I have missed out on the particular price action than suffering the consequences of a prolonged Bitcoin downtrend below this particular structure, and all of our gaming cryptos will be wrecked by here.